So basically, the bottom line is effective, probably as soon as we leave here, we are moving to an AI coding and charting company. What this means is the AI is going to go with you to the visit. There is a script that you will use, and when Tintin's all done, she'll probably show you the website as well. But you can go in there and you can download your script. You go over the script at your visit, you do your visit with your patients, you take the picture of the wounds, you take the picture of the meds, and then you let it sit, and the AI is gonna do about 80% of your charting. When Tintin is done, there are 8 elements that you have to check afterwards, and I'll tell you what those are. But essentially, most of your charting will be done for you, and you will be able to go in and see your chart, and then it will go through coding and QA and come back to you after that. But from what we have seen from our test group, it cuts about an hour of your time off of your charting. And for a repeat visit, it's literally just fine. So there's no excuse anymore for not on-time charting. But I'm going to turn this over to Tintin. Is everybody ready to roll with her?
Get the.
She didn't get the link.
She didn't get the link. Yeah.
Okay.
Email said the link is coming, but
For me, but
yeah.
Tintin, can you check Kim Hager and send her an invite? And
absolutely, yeah.
okay, raise your hand if you do not have the link. I can't be online at the same time. Tintin's gonna add
Of course.
Kim Hager.
I don't have it.
We're gonna sit down, we've already done.
Kim Hager. Okay, listen, Kim, can you please confirm your phone number?
Kim, which of your phone number is here?
She got that. She's on it. You're on it.
Yeah.
I don't have it on my tablet.
Okay, afterwards you can have Caesar add it on your tablet. For now, you'll want it on your phone. So you guys.
Yes, definitely, please be using this on the tablet going forward. The tablet is where all of our latest.
Ken,
are. Yeah,
can you also add Lynn Voorheer, V as in Victor, O.
yeah, for sure. Did Kim confirm the phone number? Is this correct?
Yes, she did, yes.
Okay, awesome. And who is the other person?
Voorheer, Lynn.
Yes, okay. And yeah, Lynn, can you also confirm your phone number?
Is your number right? Because that's what we sent it to.
Yes.
Yes, resend.
Okay. Let me just double check the text message, see if there's any issues. Lynn, okay, Lynn, that seems to have worked.
Now, if you're a PTA, you will not have gotten an invite. Your charting will stay the same. Right, we don't have PTA revisits yet, right?
Oh, so yeah, let's talk about the visit types that are available. So, and currently in the room, do we have all the disciplines? Does it include does it include folks who do Oasis as well, or just the revisit clinicians?
We have Oasis and revisit clinicians.
Okay, got it. So, we have available all of the major Oasis types. That's SOC, rock, insert, and discharge. Not the transfers, like not the really, really short Oasis. We have all the skilled nursing nodes, and that's available today.
So she's telling you which types are available to use Andy AI on so that you can chart them. And
So
which ones
all
are not.
nursing nodes are available today. As for therapy, they will be available any day now. I would estimate maybe like another week or so before they're all available, and that includes the aid visits. So yeah, we're just putting kind of a couple more final touches on them. I want them to be in a good state before you see those. And I also expect physical therapy to be available a bit before the OT ones, but that does include the aid visits as well. Sorry, not the aid, the PTA visits as well. For home health aid, that is the one that we don't currently support. Right.
You'll need to be able to come in here so you can hear how to use the app and have the AI do your visits and what visits can be submitted, even repeat visits can go. The training document is here and there are 2 sign-in sheets. I'm gonna turn it over to Tintin to start training you.
Yeah, thank you so much for setting this up. And so what I'm gonna do today is I'll go over the very high level, here's how you use Andy, and then I'll talk briefly about some of the differences between the Oasis visits versus the revisits, the re-evals. And then lastly, we'll do an interactive exercise where you will submit a recording to Andy, such that as soon as you are done with today's training, you are able to just do all of your training with Andy. Again, for therapists in the room, it won't be available immediately. I will message you. I will just text you when those are available and keep you posted, but everything you're learning today will apply once it's available.
If you have
So-
questions, write them down. I'll answer after.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, let's get started. The way that Andy works is exactly like Jennifer said. We help you complete your Oasis and we scrub it and code it as well, and same with all the other visit types. Your responsibility is to record your visit. When you're done with the visit, when you get in your car, make another quick recording called the driveway debrief just to give a bit more info. And when you're done later that evening or the next day, you can review Andy's work directly in Cancer. The goal is to help you save time per Oasis. One quick note about the Oasis is that we do reference the patient's past medical history. And so, you may hear the patient say something like, oh yeah, I have no shortness of breath, but we're going to look into the past medical history and see that they have all of these diagnoses that make it very likely there is shortness of breath. So that when Andy thinks about what the answers should be, we're really putting that QA hat on and maybe documenting a little different from what you heard in the room. And that's completely normal. You'll get the Oasis, the MOO items, the comprehensive assessment, the med list, the wounds, goals and interventions, all that will get entered into Cancer for you. Although I guess I should say it won't be all of the goals and interventions. You will still go in and add a few more to make it more personalized to the patient, but we'll get you started with the basic set. And if you're skeptical that AI can do all of this perfectly, well, we do have a human QA, someone who is Oasis trained, home health trained, that is reviewing most of your charts. So we do 100% review on the Oasis. We do like a 20% review on the SN notes, plus all the AI quality checks as well to make sure that you have something that's accurate and ready, close to ready for submission. Just one quick video here. Here's how our software will go into Kinzer and do all the clicking and all the checking on your behalf. So it goes by pretty quickly, but you see how the software does all the clicking so that when you open up Kinzer, it's all just going to be right in there. Okay, cool. That's a very high level. And what I'll do next is show you a quick training video of, high level, how you do an Oasis, and we can talk about how the revisit notes are different.
It's really important that you learn to do the Oasis because your charts will not go into coding if they weren't completed by Andy. The Oasis has to be used. The Oasis has to be done with Andy, and then Andy takes it in and codes it. So our charts don't move anymore if you just do it by yourself without after when we start this. Go ahead, Hinton.
Awesome. And were you able to hear the audio in the brief second that this was playing?
Mm-hmm.
Toward a patient with
Okay.
visit with AD. The first time you open the Andy app, you'll see a request for permission to access microphones, sending notifications. Once you accept, you'll see a list of your upcoming visits. I can tap on the patient's name to go to their visit page where I can make a recording. So today we're going to work on the test patient test 1, 2, 3. At the top of the screen, I can reconfirm the patient ID and the visit date, which was pulled from the email. If the visit date has changed, I can tap on it to edit. To get permission to record, I say to the patient, hey, I'm going to record this visit. It's going to help me with my notes. Then I tap the big red button to begin recording the visit. In the visit, I can pull up a script to remind me what to say, to guide me through my assessment. And I can also take pictures of the patient's meds list or pill bottles for Andy to transcribe. So we'll do that. Or just take a picture of the table here, but pretend it's a med list or a pill bottle. I can also add pictures of wounds and consent forms, and those will all get added to the EMR as well. When the visit is over, I tap the big red button to end the recording. That's the end of our visit. Now, as a clinician, I'm going to walk to the home into the car for my driveway debrief. This is a clinical verbal report that takes about 2 minutes. I tap the big red button again, this time do a debrief. I state the focus of care. I confirm that there are no wounds. I touch on any treatments or teachings performed, especially if it wasn't very clear. I didn't say all my steps out loud for the treatment. And then lastly, I mention any additional findings. For example, there's things maybe I didn't say out loud, like the patient's home was extremely cluttered, patient had memory issues. Again, the script is available as a reference. And then I'm done. And the debrief. Now the submit button is turned green. I tap submit, confirm all of this information. And importantly, I wait till all the files are uploaded. This says that I am done. Enter green check boxes to confirm. And I see here that my patient has now been grayed out. It says submitted, nice work. And all I have to do is wait for Andy to document and QA my visit. Oops. Okay, so that was the Oasis. We saw how you make recordings, how you take pictures of meds, and how you do the whole submission workflow. And you saw the script that's right in the app that tells you what to say in case you forget some important topics. Let's talk quickly about what is different about the revisit notes. The main difference is that you will not be uploading consent forms, and you will not be uploading any medication images. That is also a feature that's coming very soon. But for now, if you have any changes on the revisit notes, please document them directly in Kinzer in the med profile. Yeah, those are the main differences. And I want to touch on also how to document wounds, ADLs, and medications. Let's start with wounds since that applies to every visit type. And this is extremely important. We can help you save a lot of time by uploading pictures directly into the wound manager, by documenting the entire wound manager exactly the way that it's supposed to be. But it's also really important to pay attention to this section here. If you use this app differently than it's intended, it may end up creating a bit more work for you if the wounds aren't exactly what you would like. So this part is probably the most important part of all the training. And so we'll quickly talk about how you can document your wounds during your visit as well as during your debrief. Let's document a new wound together. I'm in the middle of this visit, and I have already documented a left hip surgical incision. So I can tap on that, and I can add pictures, I can edit the information, or I can delete this wound. I can also go back, and now I would like to add a diabetic foot ulcer. So I tap the add button next to wounds. I enter left foot and choose the option for me autocomplete. This is a diabetic ulcer. And a picture. Now tap next. The screen reminds me to say the measurements. So for the patient's diabetic ulcer, when it's left, the measurements are 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And then I describe the appearance and the wound care steps that I'm taking. And that's it. Now I have 2 wounds. Okay, so that's how you can document a wound during the visit. And we'll talk about how this shows up on the debrief as well. I have finished a wound care visit, and now I am about to start my debrief. Red button, debrief. I identify the patient. Focus of care is wound care. This screen gives me an opportunity to add additional information. If
I've said everything out loud, I can skip. If I've want to add more information about the appearance, for example, the patient's wound had a foul odor. Now's the time to say it. Next, I have the same opportunity to talk about the second wound. The patient's left foot diabetic ulcer. The wound care steps I took were XYZ. And lastly, I have a chance to confirm all the wounds that I have added, make sure they are exact. Oh yeah, this screen is pretty important. Just as you're looking at this, please make sure this is all the wounds. If at this stage you were to verbalize a wound that doesn't exist here, our QA team might leave a little yellow sticky note for you and say like, hey, it looks like this patient has a third wound, but you didn't enter it. Like, what's going on? As a reminder, but they will not do the work for you, which is why it's really important to look at this page. Similarly, if on certain visit types like SN nodes and revisits, we will pull wounds directly from Kinzer. So you see here at the SOC, you see that like all the wounds are added from scratch versus on research, on SN revisits, the wounds will be pulled directly from Kinzer. You don't want, like if a wound's fully healed, you don't want it to say new or active. You would actually want to go in and discontinue each wound to make sure that Andy knows that those wounds are fully healed, not need to chart on them anymore. Because I would like to see them in my EMR, and then I can continue with the rest of the debrief. Here is my last chance basically to add new wounds or to edit these existing wounds. Yeah, so basically for existing wounds, rocks, research, discharges, and all the revisit notes, and you will pull existing wounds from Kinzer. They're going to show up as active. And then if you tap on this wound, you have a chance to discontinue that wound. To prevent duplicate wounds, please just put everything into Andy. You don't need to like create a wound here in Kinzer and also put it into Andy. Just put it in Andy and we'll put it in both places on your behalf. And if Andy documented the wound dot in the wrong location, again, this can't happen. We try really hard to avoid it, but this can happen. Kinzer does let you edit the wound location. I know that it can be confusing, it can be hardware to do so, but Kinzer does let you edit the red dot. So if we've gotten it wrong and you can't figure out how to do that, just let me know. Okay, so we talked about how to use Andy. We talked about how to document the wounds. The last couple of things I'll do is talk about the ADLs and the meds, which are relevant for the OASIS. So for the ADLs, I really recommend saying things like just like telling a story about the patient. Just say patient ambulates with a walker and uses a wheelchair for longer distances. Even something as simple as that will give us a lot of information about how well is the patient doing. We know based just on that they can ambulate, but they probably have lots of weakness or balance issues or endurance that prevent them from being safe ambulating for longer distances. If you are a physical therapist, you can use common therapy phrases such as min assist or max assist, and you will probably document what you're describing, but may still make some small adjustments based on what we think may be contradictions. What not to say is, yes, please don't say things like M1810 is a 1. It's just not very descriptive, and it also just takes a long time. And again, Andy is more holistically looking at this patient, and so we may adjust those scores. And last but not least, for the medications, we offer 3 options. You can take a picture of the handwritten med list at home, you can take a picture of the discharge paperwork, or lastly, you can take pictures of pill bottles. Currently, saying the meds out loud will not do anything. So, for the pen and paper med list, if your handwriting is really clear, this is a great option. If your handwriting is a bit messier, some of these examples here, especially in the red box, we're really going to struggle with. The rule of thumb is like if your patient can clearly read your med list, then it's no problem. If your patient will struggle with it, well, then the surveyor might be unhappy about that. But the goal is to have something that the patient can easily reference. So yeah, please give us something that's very easily read by the patient. Alternatively, if the patient has a really nice discharge paperwork that's pretty close to accurate, you can take a picture of that. Just make sure when you're crossing out any meds that are not relevant to cross out the names. That's a very clear way to tell Andy this is not relevant. The second example here is just, it's just not that clear. They've highlighted something, they've like put a line through it, but it looks like an underline. So yeah, just cross out the name. And lastly, if you're taking a picture of a pill bottle, take 2 pictures per bottle and make sure there's only one bottle in the picture at a time. That lets us like
Turn it so.
stitch it together a bit better. Yeah, if you've got all the bottles in here, this is unfortunately not legible. Yes, so again, on XOC, on rocks, on research, please provide to us all the meds that the patient is taking. On the revisits, for now, we will not be able to add meds for you, but that is something we are working to add. And lastly, okay, there's a couple of workflow questions here. When is my note going to be ready? What if I can't report the visit? I'll quickly go through some of these. Your OASIS will be ready in 8 to 24 hours. Your SN note will be ready in under 8 hours, and that includes a human QA component. If for whatever reason you cannot record the visit, please record a driveway debrief afterwards. Just do a slightly longer driveway debrief. I've seen SN notes take like 2 to 3 minutes total. OASIS visits take 5 to 8 minutes, just dictating everything. And if your patient doesn't speak English and the whole visit happens in a different language, for example, then please record an English driveway debrief. Let's see, common workflow issues. And by the way, all of this is available at clinicians.withandy.com. So when I texted you the download links, it also included a link here. Yeah, these are all of the most common issues that you're going to encounter. So the best way to get help is 1, come to this page. You'll probably find an article that answers your question under common issues. But if you don't, you can always text me at the 833 number, the same number that texted you the login information. Please save that phone number. Like right now, please save that phone number.
Can you
And
just give
that
it
is
to
how
us
you
so
will-
we can all write it down and save it right now? We're all grabbing
Sure,
pens.
Yes, sure. It is, if everyone's ready, it's 833 374 1594. I'll say that one more time, 833 374 1594. And if you go into your text messages, you find the message from Andy, you can also just go ahead and save that number.
One very important thing is on that link, your script for the visit debrief. Like if you read down that script, the clinicians who started this pilot program with us, if you read down that, it does the vast majority of your charting. So just do that script driveway debrief and then before you leave, and it will fill in so many things, particularly those big meds and all those 5 to 6, 1 to 2 on your OASIS. They'll all be filled in for you before you get there. So it's pretty huge.
Yeah, this is like the way that we're going through right now. It's the best way to get the most out of using Andy. Okay, so we talked about the common issues. Let's see. What else? Oh, yes, the last thing I want to cover before the interactive portion is like very soon, you're going to like starting probably Monday, you're going to start seeing a slightly different version of the Andy app. So I wanted to preview it with you today. What this new version does is that it gives you, well, one, if you are on the newest version, you will have your SN notes back a bit faster. Like we're talking like 2 to 4 hours instead of 4 to 8. And that can actually make a pretty big difference if you are, if it's like late in the day and you want to get your charting done same day. And so in this newest version, you will have a bit more control over what Andy puts directly in Cancer. You'll do your visit recording, we'll on our side document and scrub everything, and we'll show you like a really quick preview screen right in the Andy app. It's really short preview that you can check and confirm before everything gets transferred into Kinzer. And if you can, I definitely recommend making those changes in Andy. That way, when you go into Kinzer, you have fewer checkboxes to tap on. So what that looks like is, I'm try to find an example for you. Okay, so it's gonna be on my phone here. So here's your normal visit page. And once you submit all your recordings, there's a little tab here called Review. The Review tab is going to be blank at first. It's going to say, hey, Andy is working. There's nothing for you to review. Please check back in a few hours. But at some point, the status of the little status will change. On the main page, you have like a new visit, complete. The status will change to ready for review. And when it's ready for review, you'll actually just see a really quick preview of all the things that Andy's found. Again, it's really short. It's just like a page and a half on your phone, but it tells you all the vital signs. It tells you if anything is abnormal so that you have a chance to confirm the app before it gets transferred into Kinzer. And once you're ready, you can tap the transfer button. If you are seeing any values in yellow or orange that it's asking you to edit something, the way to edit it is you can either tap on the little pencil icon and that'll pull up a short little editor, or in some cases underneath here, if there's a whole section that you want to document on, you can just tap on the gray button on the whole section. So it adds a bit more features in the app. You're not required to use this feature since you can always add things directly in Kinzer. But in our early testing, we're finding that clinicians, you just wanted things to be done. Like it's definitely just, I think people feel a lot more peace of mind when they make a couple edits directly in the Andy app and they know that when they transfer it, it just looks good and they barely have to do any Kinzer review at all. So that's something that you'll start seeing in your app starting Monday, and it'll just start gradually rolling out to everybody. Okay, so I think that's all the lecture-y parts of today. Any questions?
Any questions, or do you want to wait for our Q&A?
How about this? We're going to go through the interactive portion and make a recording together. And as we're doing this, there's going to be plenty of downtime, like as we're kind of waiting for everyone to reach a certain step. And so that would be a really great time to ask your questions. So let's go through how to submit a test recording. What we're going to do is, for this exercise, let's create a fake patient. When you open the app, you may already see some real patients popping up, but we're not going to use any of those patients. Instead, we'll add a patient.
Patients now.
Yeah, the reason this skill is useful is because sometimes if you're scheduled to see a patient very last minute, they're not going to show up in the mobile app, and you still want a way to record on them. So the blue record button is a way for you to document on any patient. So yeah, you just tap the blue button to record, and we will here select it. When you tap the blue plus button, it's going to pull up a whole visit page. At the top of the page, you can select the patient, and in the selection text box, you can enter the patient's MRN. You can enter test 123. Just make sure it's not a real patient ID. And it may not pull up anything. It'll just show you this little green number, and you can click on it to confirm. If you're feeling lucky, you can also try typing a patient's name. I would say half the time that's going to work. But so, you can always try it out, but if that doesn't work, just enter the patient's MRN. And even if nothing pulls up, that will always work because we can always find that patient in the background. Now, once you've identified the patient, you can begin your recording. So please make one visit recording and one debrief recording. Please also create one wound and and if it's an OASIS, take a picture of a med list. And again, we can do the practice on your phone, but it's very important to use the iPad for your day-to-day. In fact, the SN notes or the physical therapy notes, they won't even show up if you're using an Android device, since those visit types are relatively new. So yeah, definitely use your iPad. I'm gonna skip all this since this is more relevant for Android. And yeah, whenever you're ready, you can submit your visit and please keep this page open until everything is submitted. And if you're having issue at any point during this, please take a screenshot of the error message that you're seeing and text it to that same number, and I can just troubleshoot live with you. So yeah, please go ahead and do that. And while we're hanging out here, I can answer any questions either about this recording step or about anything that was covered in today's training.
I think some of you guys already have it. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a list. Whether or not we assume to be concerned, could pop up here automatically, but if there's not, we have to stick anything.
But it's
So,
like creative, like one day, this one, I just type in test, I was at 3, because the teachings. Okay, let me create them. We're supposed to be on, it's a recording and a debrief recording.
The visit report is the important part, because a lot of things, just like she was saying, you can be like, you have this error.
Would you do
All
this
of
already?
it.
No.
And then between.
The one they sent me from, and I don't know, did you already say it before? It was my therapeutic email address.
Oh, yeah, I just put it, I put it wrong.
That's what transitions.
That tells you like what.
The sign in for us to get started.
Yes, I love this. I'd imagine it'd be the therapeutic one.
That's what should be in mine. So I think that's what she sent us.
Hit the red button. That's it.
So we get it. We made a word, but there's no,
And I said, she'll screen it.
I cannot put the voice recording later.
The measurement spot, I believe, right, Tintin, was in the debrief section for wounds.
If you're in the middle of a recording, it should show up for the visit as well once you're done entering the information for the word. If you're in the middle of a recording.
Last.
Oh, so if you've already basically.
I made a word. My first one where I was.
You did say it was better from iPod, but I didn't have mine. I needed.
I believe you was like verbalize it, and then in the debrief section, would have the actual.
So should I just say, on the surgical wound, the shoe? So that it's the
Yes. You have to. So you could just. So. We're doing degrees and progress. I know fast. I've already started. So it's like maybe it's just me as a test.
No, just say, so supervisor just goes in.
There you go.
Worm to her, right, two, 0.2 by 0.2 by 0.1. No signs of infection. That's not even what it's asking. It wasn't even recording me.
It says recording in progress at the top, right?
No. This is telling me, okay, okay, I did those. I
It's just-
didn't do wound care steps.
It's just giving you an example.
Skin is talking. Skin.
You don't have to follow that script.
Okay, next. Treatments and teachings, okay, which I didn't do, say out loud. Oh, treatment and teachings performed to this were, don't eat all of it. This one's where the down. Okay, other notable. No signs and symptoms of it.
As a test.
I think it'll learn it.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, this is giving us things that forever.
What's wrong with them?
And my birthday's in March, and
Sorry,
I'll break it. You're gonna get much easier once she's done.
It's just giving us.
Did everybody sign in? Yeah. Everybody signed in to get credit on both sign-in sheets. And you have the training sheet.
I think I only signed in on one.
Did you get through?
Are you passing her?
Able to submit the reporting.
Sorry.
Summer's looking away.
That's the ones that need to be added.
This is the sign-in
That's
sheet.
for the quality, to get a copy of our quality improvement plan.
Sorry, Martin.
Trish, she's been using.
So Tricia's been very helpful, but I've taken up a lot of her time for,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, as well. No, that's me.
Yeah, did you just?
Right, in a few minutes, I explained it.
For the test.
Sarah, nice work. Test 1, 2, 3.
Sorry.
Oh, Sarah did good.
Just like.
Yeah, you are the winner.
Sarah did good.
Yeah. Awesome. I see you did a visit, a debrief. Did you do a med as well?
No. Well,
Sorry, not a med. Did you do a wound as well?
Just a fake picture of your leg for a wound.
Please go back.
Yeah, I definitely recommend folks just playing around with a wound switch a bit since it's so important when you're in your day-to-day work.
Oh, we already hit submit, right?
All right, Jennifer, nice work.
Oh, I was like, I didn't do it. Good job, Jen. Our other Jen, but you do SOC. Oh, you don't do SOCs, but you do repeat visits. Yeah. Well, it'll work for you too, but like Monday. Mhm.
Hey, Trish and Teresa were already using it too.
They were part of our pilot,
Yeah.
so they're already using it and it works really well.
All right, Juliana, nice work. I have your test recording. Oh, and this reminds me, I have to enable research and discharges for you as well. Oh, one important thing to note for kind of especially the OASIS clinicians here is please tell everything to Andy. And then in 8 to 24 hours, when it's done, you can go ahead and add new stuff. There's a few exceptions, obviously, to that, like your time in, time out, you can enter that whenever. Your progress to goals, you can enter that whenever and Andy won't touch it. But for almost everything else, it's always best to tell Andy and we can put it all in for you. As opposed to there are some cases where we may just overwrite the information that you've already entered. So just to avoid doing that, it's best to tell everything to Andy and wait until it's done.
Everybody submit. How's it going, B?
I got the wounds from Juliana. Thanks for doing that. Yeah. And Kim, nice work.
Beautiful. Not as scary as I thought it was going to be.
I'll break it down to it gets much easier and there's just like 5 or 6 components that you have to check when they're done. And I'll kind of explain the workflow a little easier for you, how it's worked for us. After she's done, that way we can do a little Q&A. We are not using the consents component because it doesn't go in and complete the task for you. And then we have no way of running a report that ran compliance with the consents. which is huge because we cannot bill a chart without having those consents in it. So we are still doing consents like normal, but we'll go over all of that when she's done with you. We'll have about 10 minutes for question and answer before we move into frequency manager.
The consent, that's for Oasis though, right?
Yeah, the consents only go in on Oasis. There are still things you need to do on your visit, but we'll go over those, what your visit structure looks like and how we've plugged Andy into it, how you get it back and know when you're ready to chart. Because those were our biggest questions we had, but I want to do that after 10:10's off so we don't waste our time.
It's a brilliant idea, by the way. Jennifer, I really like how you have here's like the 5 or 6 things you still have to check after Andy and like a nice checklist. I think that's a really good way to do it.
Oh, it makes it easier for the clinicians because it'll spit out kind of a rough draft for you that is almost ready to go. But we have found 5 or 6 key elements that need to be bumped up to our grade and to make it still possible for passing a survey, but also because your chart still has to be compliant for certain care standards. So. Okay.
Is anyone else still submitting a recording? I think I've gotten like 5 or 6 so far. I just got Melissa's. Nice work.
Thank you.
You did everything, the meds, the wounds, that's perfect.
We're all nurses. We like to hear the word, or professionals here in the medical field. We all like to hear the word perfect. We. Okay,
Yeah, that's the
Tintin,
one.
how about if you move forward with the RAS from where we are? Everybody ready for her to complete?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think well, normally I just like to really confirm that folks are able to submit their recordings. So I've got Patricia's. Are there folks who are, not yet able to make the recording?
No, I think we're all good here. I think everybody who is
Okay,
doing it
awesome.
is ready.
Awesome. And confirming that everyone here is available will be using iPad for this.
If you're not added, we'll have Caesar resend it to you, resend it confirmed, but we'll do that after.
Yeah.
At the end.
So yeah, definitely recommend doing this on the iPad. And if you have like a phone and an iPad, again, please choose one device, because if you have like recordings on both, it's not gonna sync. So it's gonna be confusing, like, wait, where did my recording go? And it's because it's on your other device. So definitely recommend being iPad only. And we'll be done in just 30 seconds. I have a couple more recordings that came in. Oh, wait, that's another from Patricia and Michael Hernandez. Nice work. And that is a wrap. Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this. And please text me if you have any questions. I will send updates via text to everyone once additional visit types are available.
Thank you.
All right,
Tintin.
have a great one. Have a great weekend. Talk to you all later.
Thank you. Bye, Tintin. Okay, I'm gonna come off here. We're gonna move our recording here. Okay, let's talk a little bit. So essentially what's gonna happen is you'll be assigned an SOC or a visit. You will go out and you will use the app at your visit, and then you will hit submit, and it is going to sit and brew while you are working. And you'll see a documentation in the yellow spot that says submitted to Andy. Charting is ready. And then you'll know your chart is ready. You can still go in, you can change things, you can do what you need to do, but now we'll have a double QA process, because your visit will show up in your app, but it will also show up in Kinzer. You'll do your visit debrief, add your photos, your pictures, your wounds. For physical therapists, this is huge because it's going to fill in your 2 to 1, your 3 to whatever, your 5 to 6 when you end, based on what you say in the driveway. And when you get your chart, almost all of your little boxes and vitals and photos and meds, everything will already be in there for you. You're just going to go in and fine tune. So when you do a visit with Andy AI from now on, your chart still has to be opened in real time at the patient home. So make sure that you go in and open your chart, because we cannot submit the NOA. That's required date of the visit. You follow your script, upload your photos, upload your meds, and then you're going to submit to Andy AI. And once you hit the submit button, they're going to start working on your chart while you go see the next patient. Usually by the time you get home, if not first thing in the morning, both AI and nurses are going to be sitting there checking as much charting as they can for you. And by a few hours later, whenever it says ready, your chart will be ready with all of what they have been able to put into it. For those of you who are doing OASIS documents, you're still required at the visit to go in and put in your frequency. And we're going to train on frequency manager. A lot of you are doing one key thing. You're requesting a frequency, but you're not actually creating your frequency order, which means it's never moving to scheduling. But we'll talk about that later. So you open your chart in real time, you follow the script, do your Andy AI charting on the spot. You put in your frequency into Frequency Manager and create your order. You K-mail back the office with your frequency so we can match it. This is important because if you forgot to hit a button or you forgot to do something, you're still responsible for making sure that your patient gets scheduled. So if you didn't use Frequency Manager correctly, and we're going to do next training on that, then you still want that K-mail there. So just always reply to that K-mail with your frequency, because I personally go in and match your K-mail response to your order to see if you put an order in, and Martin goes in as well. You still want to add your consents exactly like you did before, so it completes. And then when you're all done doing those 5 things there, your chart will be ready for you in a few hours, and it's almost done. So you do those 5 things on the spot. Now, if you look at the chart here, after Andy gets done with your chart, we found key spots that you do have to go in and check every time. For the most part, I've checked the charts and all of it is pretty close to done, but these things. Your med rec, when you're taking pictures of all the meds, if you're just taking a picture of the hospital notes, sometimes they can be very clinical. For the most part, the program is really good at changing it to layman's terms, but you are still responsible before you go in and actually sign the med rec, because AI does not sign your med rec for you. You still need to go in and do the med rec. You need to make sure that your meds are in layman's terms and that you've gone in and signed your med rec. For your patient summary, where you click down and you put in your frequency and your orders and your VTO to your doctor, you still need to add that part that is separate from Kinzer, separate from AI. That is information that you need to add into your patient summary, your visit. Progress to goals. The AI program adds every goal that's pretty much appropriate. It's overused. We've noticed we only want 2 or 3 goals for the top 2 diagnosis and for you to be successful. You don't want to click off 82 things in progress to goals. So go through and make sure that you put the patient consents, you did an emergency plan, and then pick your 2 or 3 goals for your 2 main diagnoses, and you can get rid of the rest. And then check your narrative and your 2 key diagnoses. So if my patient is diabetic, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to check the endocrine section, make sure I put in what I need to put in that matches my goals. And I'm going to make sure in my narrative, I have addressed the patient's diabetic neuropathy or the diabetic plan. But your narrative, it's very generic, and for us and for what everybody is finding with AI, as far as when it goes through survey, your narrative probably has to be rewritten by you to be specific to your patient, because all of them are very blanket. You need to go in and change it to your patient so that it matches your patient. So if I go in and see a patient, it's not going to say just 5 or 6 same sentences on everyone. You cannot submit it that way. You're still responsible for your narrative. So when that number 4 on here, like if I have a patient who has ascites and is getting paracentesis, Andy AI doesn't know that you need to have an abdominal version, that you need to have vowel sounds in there. So if you didn't say it out loud, it may not be in your chart. You are still responsible to go back in and address the ascites, the abdominal girth, whatever it is for your primary diagnosis, and you're still responsible for adding it to the narrative. But basically, it fills in about 80% of your chart, and then you're just going to scrub and sign. It's very, very easy. For those of you who don't like this, you have to talk to us because we are also using their coding. So as soon as it scrubs your chart and you go back in and look at your final whatever, and you say you're good with it, it moves it straight into coding and codes the chart for you. So if you're not using Andy AI and you didn't know ACES, it's never going to move to coding if you're not using it. So we need to know. I didn't use it. We prefer that everybody is using it because we've found it does an absolutely great job. You do these 5 things on the spot at the house. You submit your stuff, you leave it, it gets washed, comes back to you, you add the 5 things at the end, and you're pretty much done with your charting. It's very, very nice. And we've been doing it for about a month now. But that's the way the process goes. Just remember the things on the list here are the things that you are still responsible for adding. For repeat visits, it's going to fill in almost everything for you. If you do the narrative and if you go onto the site, let me see if I can pull up the link for you real quick. If you go into your app and you click on that visit debrief, and you essentially go through the visit debrief the way that they have you do it and add all of the things that you would normally say, your chart is going to be almost complete. So it's very nice. It makes your SOC go super quickly. After it goes to coding, it's still going to Kimbo. She is going to still review your charts and may ask you for a couple things. She'll send it to you to sign it, and then your chart will be done. Okay, questions? Yes.
We're still opening the chart when we get in there, putting in our vitals, last bowel movement.
You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is open your
Visit
chart.
brief.
If
Okay.
you follow, now open your chart when you get to the patient's home, always. And then you're going to follow the script and then you'll submit it. On a repeat visit for Kim, and I'm only saying this for Kim, for the rest of you, if it's, you're not going to want to change your frequency a lot. By the time you do Andy AI and Frequency Manager, pick a frequency that's going to stay with your patient. And if you discharge them early, we're going to discharge early. But for you, you're essentially going to open your visit. You're going to submit the debrief there with your photos or whatever it is. Your visit's going to be back to you in 2 to 4 hours. You're going to submit it to Kim. She's going to take it from there.
So the vitals I'm gonna say into.
You just say them in there. It's going to fill in your vitals. It's going to fill in everything for you. It's going to fill in your meds. It's going to fill in everything. On a repeat visit right now, so on your SOC, it will give you all your meds. All you have to do is go in and sign your med rec, and it's going to go to the doctor. They'll all already be entered for you, and most of them will be in layman's terms. Just run a quick check through it that it doesn't say 3 PRN, because they don't understand all that. It has to be in the patient terms, but then you just sign off. On a repeat visit for right now, if you guys have a med change where you have to do a new med rec, you have to go in and add that. But you will go add that after Andy AI is done. You
We don't even say it in the debrief.
I wouldn't because it's not going to add it right now. But actually by the time, I mean, by next week, they're going to have the ability to do so for even your new med rec. But right now I would say just go in and put it yourself and do it after they're done. But you're essentially just going to talk through your visit in the parking lot, hit submit. It's going to do your SOC for you. It's going to do everything else. But that doesn't eradicate the things that you need to do when you get to the patient home and the things you need to do when Andy AI tells you your chart's ready for you to finish up, to submit to Kim. When it says it's ready and you go in and make whatever alterations or whatever it is that you're going to do, you still submit to Kim just like you normally would. And you'll see on the yellow note, it'll tell you when Andy's done working its magic.
I have a question. So you know how it has like the let me go in there. The briefing
do we have to have the recording and then do the debriefing, or can we just do the debriefing at the end of the visit?
The debriefing I do in my car after I'm all done. The debriefing is essentially, if you follow the visit script and then you do the debriefing in my car afterwards, there he is. You essentially have everything you need on your chart. Yeah.
This we need to.
Okay. Without further ado, I'm gonna turn this over to Derek. Kim, would you turn the screen so it's looking at Derek, not my mug? On that screen, on that, we're recording for anybody. who-
I really am that illiterate with.
Oh, wherever you want to be, Derek, we want to put you on screen. Derek is gonna go over frequency manager plus E2 changes, and we'll get you guys out of here to snack and socialize.
Okay, well, I just got news that we're trying to change the version of frequency manager that we're using, but apparently that's not possible currently, so we're gonna have to keep using the current way we're doing it. I've worked with several of you, I've sent emails out, you guys all have phone numbers, but basically what needs to happen is when you're doing started care, if you're doing started care, you basically put your frequency in, which includes your started care, and the way you do it is you're going to go to, when you go to add frequency, you're going to go to the frequency manager. From the frequency manager, you're going to go create frequency. Then you're going to write in, you're going to type in your frequency. So if it's 2 week 2, but on the narrative section, you need to put in what's the focus of care? What are we seeing the patient for? So if it's estimates for education regarding diabetic medication and management, then that needs to be in your narrative. It can't just say 2 week 2. And you actually don't want to put the 2 week 2 in your narrative because that creates problems. If you ever have to change your frequency, we actually have to go back in, open up the 485, and then change it, which can be a problem if we submit it to Medicare. So we don't want to do that. So what you want to do it is you just want to put your narrative is what we are focusing with our care of the patient. So if we're seeing the patient for, the way I would do it, I do SM visits for medication, education, compliance, safety, education regarding diabetic management. Or if we're doing wound care, we're going to put wound care on there. If you're doing physical therapy, what are you doing the physical therapy for? If you're doing occupational therapy, what are you doing occupational therapy for? Okay, once you add frequency, and you're going to add the frequency for every person that's coming, okay? So if you're going to order physical therapy, you're going to put that frequency. If you're going to order occupational therapy, that goes in. If you're going to order home health aid, that goes in. And then
If you're doing physical therapy, you're gonna do 1 month 1.
yes, and then I'm gonna get into that momentarily, but yes, the reason why we do 1 month 1 instead of 1 week 1 is because we've had several instances where I've had to go in and fix it, where say a therapist goes out to see somebody, and they're like, well, I don't want to be seen till next week. Well, you just did 1 week 1, and now all of a sudden now we got to write a whole new order, which then creates a whole bunch of orders on the back end that Mr. Martin over here is having to fix, and I'm having to rewrite the order. He's having to get it re-signed, so now we have to get 2 orders signed by the doctor instead of 1. And we all know doctors, right? They don't want to be bothered. More times we bother them, the worse, right? So if you are doing another discipline, whether it's speech therapy, MSW, physical therapy, occupational therapy, it's going to be 1 month 1 eval. Now, what you want to do to get in the habit of is if you are ordering physical therapy, okay, what are we ordering physical therapy for? Physical decline, fall prevention. If we're ordering occupational therapy, that's usually going to be ADL training, right? That needs to go in your narrative. So all it is simple as occupational therapy eval for ADL training. And then home health aid. Remember, home health aides are supposed to educate the families how to bathe. They're not supposed to be the caregiver. So when you write that, that should be for education regarding personal hygiene. We're not supposed to be going out there to bathe the patient. We're supposed to be going out there to educate them how to bathe the patients. The whole reason for existence, guys, is we are there to educate families to be independent. They're not supposed to depend on us. We're not supposed to be the crutch. We're supposed to give them the power to be independent, whether wound care, colostomy, PT, OT, home health aid, all of that. We're supposed to be educating them how to be independent on their own, because we are a temporary service at the end of the day. We're not supposed to be a permanent service. We're supposed to be a temporary service. Okay. Once you write all the frequencies that you want, you've got them all there. Then you're going to basically hit submit, and then you're going to have the option to make a 485 or to do a order. Well, if you're doing a start of care, you need to do it as a 485. If you're doing it as if you're adding it later, then it becomes a frequency order. That's the difference. So if it's a start of care, resumption, research, then it's going to be a 485. If it is not neither of those oasis time points, then it's going to be a frequency order. Okay. That is a big distinction, because if not, then Martin and myself have to go back in, we have to rewrite it, And then I know some people have been upset that 45s get assigned to me. That's because I'm going in and I'm fixing them on the back end, which is why it's being assigned to me. So it's not that I'm trying to steal anybody's patience. I don't want anybody to think that, okay? I got enough patience. I don't need to steal anybody's patience. But, okay, so once you do that, then once you get to that, now you're gonna have it's gonna look like, it'll have all your frequencies listed, and they're gonna have they'll be red. So it'll be requested, but it won't be approved. So we're gonna try to fix this, but we haven't fixed it yet. But the way you're gonna click on each box, and then each box, so if it's physical therapy, nursing, occupational therapy, you're gonna click on each box. Once you click on each box, then you're going to go to the top right, you're going to create order. So she's got it right here.
I'm just trying to show you the couple things. So right here is what he means.
That box.
A lot of you are putting in, it's showing up here where it says frequency approved green. It's showing up as frequency
And
requested.
it'll be red.
Right.
That's how you know. And then, so once you would click on this one, and then you go to the top right corner, you create order.
You just want to make a fake one right now?
Well, why don't we just go to inbox? I'm sure somebody's got one right now. Somebody did it.
Or test.
And I'm sure somebody's got one they sent.
We probably have one here. Let me see if I can find a request. Okay.
Well,
so
look at the
here's
second one,
a
Dickens,
new
No,
frequency.
right here, right there.
Basically.
So he probably did it right.
He
'Cause
did it
he's very good
right.
at doing
I
it.
was gonna show you one that wasn't right.
But it's, no, actually, no, it's not. So now, since he created the order on my end, this is what it looks like, or whoever's doing schedule, which I think Abigail's taking over next week, but so this is what the scheduler is gonna see, and then now they can actually schedule those visits. Now, sometimes what'll happen is you will order a frequency, but we don't have off. So that's when we need to get Ashley involved. We need to message her, we need off, okay?
So this one is done correctly, but I'm gonna go back and show you, because this is one huge mistake that we're making right now, that
Was we're not creating the order.
we're not actually making the order.
So then you think, oh, well, I wrote a frequency, and you're like, well, why isn't Derek scheduling it? Can't schedule, I'm not my reader. So I want to help you guys out, but if I don't have the info, I can't help you out, though.
Okay, hopefully this one is in here just requested.
Oh, I think this is because she wrote it wrong, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, she wrote this wrong. But actually, hold on, wait, this is a good point. I would like to fix this one.
Okay.
This is incorrect, so I actually would like to fix this one. So
Okay.
what I already talked to her, what she was trying to do is because she did start a care on Thursday, but she did 2 week 6, 1 week 1. So then I scheduled a visit for her today. And she said, why did you do that? I said, because you did 2 week 6. And then 1 week 1. She's like, well, I wanted the 1 week 1 to be at the beginning. That's why. So go ahead and click on that. We don't actually want to approve that, but you can click on that. I'm gonna have to refix it anyway. So just go ahead and click on that and then go to create order.
I'm trying my screen, my laptop thing doesn't work right.
So this is where it gets to here. Now remember right here, this is the drop down box.
That's
So
where
the
you
only
can change
two
it to 480.
the only two that we want to be using here are going to be your frequency order or your 485. If it's an Oasis time point, that's going to be your start of care, your research resumptions. It's going to be a drop down, and you're going to go to 485.
So here, yeah, most of you are submitting them as a frequency order. You need to add it to the 485.
Add it to
Because
485.
The doctor's getting both your 485, which is an order, and we're having to get them to sign their separate.
The only time you use a frequency order is if you are writing a new frequency or you're adjusting a frequency. Like a lot of my PT here or my OT, you guys like to add frequencies after the evals. That would be a frequency order. Okay, remember, the 485 is only for a Oasis time. Now, another thing that a lot of people are doing is they're only writing like half of a frequency, which then is creating a lot of issues on the back end, because then you go out in 4 weeks. Well, I'm going to go for another 4 weeks. Schedule the entire frequency at the start of care. Because if you only do 4 weeks, I'm going to schedule you a discharge. And you're going to be, Derek, why'd you schedule a discharge? Because that's all you scheduled. That's all we got off for. We're like, if we're going to be doing more, if the wound care, you're planning to go out for 8 weeks, schedule it for 8 weeks. And then I'm going to schedule it like that. But if you only schedule 1 week 5 or 1 week 4, then I'm just going to schedule like that. I'm going to schedule a discharge. You're going to be like, well, Derek, why are you doing discharge? Because that's the only off that you require. That's the only frequency that you wrote. And then what's happening is when you go back out, you have to create a whole new order. We have to go to the doctor, get a whole nother signature. So you're creating a whole lot more paperwork in the end. Now we can always decrease frequency. That's not a problem. If you're going out doing wound care and you're like, well, I think it may be twice a week for 4 weeks, or twice a week for 3 weeks, and then after that once a week, great. We can decrease the order. Decreasing orders is very easy. It's adding orders, when you try to add more, that's when it gets more difficult. It's always better to request more upfront and then decrease later. Right? It's way better than that, because then we have to go back to the insurance company. Well, hey, I know we said we only needed 10 visits for us, but now we actually need 20 visits. The insurance is gonna be like, well, what do you mean? Like, so it's better to request all those visits initially up front, and then we can go back and we can decrease it. Because decreasing is very easy. Decreasing is super easy. All you do is go to frequency
Walk
manager.
us through
Yeah.
here.
Well, actually, we gotta fix this one anyway. So actually go cancel this real quick. So in a situation like this, okay, so I know this, go click on this and we're.
Derek, let me interrupt real quick. If you have made your frequency here and it says frequency requested when you check frequency manager, you have sent the information to no one. Your visit is not being scheduled. If we don't have a nurse, and we don't know if Derek's not gonna be scheduling next week, he's done a great job helping us out, and everybody tell him thank you, because he
Trying to upset anybody, so.
all of that because he didn't know any of you all and walked in over Christmas and kept you all busy and working. So, but if you leave it as frequency requested, it is not going to go to Abigail or Ashley or anybody.
It won't even show up on report.
It doesn't show up. It's just sitting there. You have to actually click these boxes on the right and generate your order. And then it goes to the scheduling department. So some of you have gotten emails back from me saying you need to approve your order. I see that you've requested a frequency, but that's because I'm scouring your chart, trying to figure out where your thing is. Make sure that you're creating your order. That is our biggest mistake.
Another thing I just want to bring up. So if you only put your frequency in your narrative, it's gonna get scheduled. It's just not gonna get scheduled because I don't have time. Like, I'm still seeing patients on my own and then also doing all this. And even when we have a schedule here, that's not really fair to the scheduler if you just put your narrative and then they have to go and find your narrative, guys. You've got to put it
It's not
in.
an option for us here as a company.
Um,
You can't just say, I completed an eval, look at my eval for my schedule. You have to put in your own order in frequency.
Another thing, you
If
can't
you're
just
doing-
add a frequency order and add add a physician order and add frequency there. It doesn't show up. And then on top of that, you're creating more work because then now we have a physician order that has to be signed. Then we have to go and we have to add to the frequency manager, create a frequency order. Now we have to get that submitted as well. So you're doing like, it's somebody, I don't know who, I don't want to call anybody out, but somebody sent me a message, oh, I wrote a frequency order to increase it to twice a week. Okay, but you just wrote a physician order, you didn't write you didn't put it in frequency manager. So it has to be in the frequency manager or it doesn't populate anywhere. Everything should be scheduled through here. Now, you guys, why do we do this, guys? Well, there's a lot of benefits to it. So for one, it doesn't let you overschedule, which is very good. The other thing is it creates a very easy snapshot for when state comes in, they can say, okay, how many times have you seen this patient? We can easily just pull up this frequency manager and it's all there. So it makes it very easy for states to come in when they audit us, okay? It also makes it easy for for you guys to plan your visits out. You say, okay, well, I know like this episode is ending. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect you. I apologize.
No, you're.
So we're seeing this patient up until April 19th. Okay, so I know. So there's a PT here, I don't know. But they're not using the frequency manager. And they sent me messages. They sent me 4 messages last night. Well, I want to see this patient for twice a week for 5 weeks. Well, I've only got 2 weeks left in the episode. So, but he wrote an order for it. So now I'm like, I can't do anything. And now I have to go and delete the order. I have to add the frequency and then I have to change all of it. So we want to try to avoid mistakes like that. And frequency manager will help. And I know it's very complicated right now. Everybody's probably very frustrated with it. But once you get the hang of it, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. And we're going to make it work better for you guys. But let's look at this one real quick. So this one is a mistake. No offense. What she was trying to do is she was trying to cover her visit for her start of care. And then she was trying to do 2 weeks of 6 after that. Well, what she did, I see what she did here. She tried to fix it by adding 1 week 1, but look at my effective date.
Those at the end.
We have to look at our effective date. It's very important. So here's what we're gonna do on this one. So we're gonna click on this real quick because we don't need this because I already know what this frequency is supposed to be. We're gonna go here to delete. We're gonna delete it because we don't want it. Now this is really important for those of you that are doing your PT evals, OT evals, or SN evals after the frequency's already been added. So this is where I'm getting a lot of mistakes on, guys. So, okay, so we need to fix this. So we're going to go to change order. And now we're going to go to error correction because I know this was a mistake. So it's not a big deal. We're going to fix it. Now the discontinued date here. This is what's important. So a lot of you are doing it on the day that you do the eval. Well, the problem is that's not covering the days before that. So if we were to do it today, then we're still going to get a frequency error because we're not fixing it on the date that it needs to be fixed. So we're going to click on 219 as our discontinue date. And then we're going to go down here and our effective date, make sure our effective date is correct. In this situation, it is. But if you are doing a PT eval, you would discontinue on 219 and say you're seeing the patient on the 23rd next week. Then your effective date would be on 223, right? Not on 219. Okay, but this one I know. So this one we're going to do the drop down interval. It's going to be weekly. And it's going to be once a week for 1 week because she wants to cover her start of care. And then we're gonna scroll down, and for narrative right here, don't worry about that. For narrative here, it's gonna be SN visits for where's Tony at? Tony, where you at?
I think Sheila.
Medication compliance, safety, and I think it's wound monitoring, because I think it's a surgical wound that they're monitoring. If I remember correctly on this one. Hey, on this one, are you monitoring the wound on this one? The one,
I don't have glasses on.
the one from last night?
Yes.
So we're monitoring a wound. So it's going to be medication compliance, safety, and then wound monitoring, surgical wound monitoring. It still wasn't fixed correctly, but we're going to fix it. Which actually, good
I
opportunity.
just love that he calls me out like that.
No, we're going to fix it.
Take a visit today and you just saw the patient yesterday. I was like, I fixed it this morning.
But see, that's what if you were in here, you would have seen that you didn't fix it.
Okay, ladies and
All right.
gentlemen, this battle happens in my office after, and we're taking bets for the.
No, and this is a good opportunity, guys. Actually, it's very good. I'm glad you. It's just showing everybody what it's supposed to be. So now we're going to add the order.
Right here is where you do not put your frequency, because if you do, every time the frequency changes, we have to go in and alter
the 45. We don't want to do
and
it.
have the doctor sign it again. Just put.
Which link is this? Oh, this is just my order.
Yeah. So now we're going to hit add order.
I'm trying my
No,
mouth.
you're fine.
That doesn't work.
Okay, but now we're not going to move here because she still wants to do the 2 week 6. So now we got to go back to third interval again. We're going to go to weekly. And now we're going to go 2 week. I'm sorry, I'm really new.
No, you're okay. Stop hurting my partner.
No, I know. Yeah, 6. Yeah, 2 to 6.
That's what you get for being my partner.
And then now we scroll down and we're going to add order. So now in the top right, it shows you everything that you did. You discontinued the other frequencies. We're adding the correct frequency and it's an error correction. So now we're fixing it all. Okay. So now we're going to hit next. Okay. Now the target date is going to be the 19th. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. And then we're going to put the whatever time, I don't know. Whatever time we're fixing it, but it's like 1600 or 9 o'clock. That's fine. Well, if she didn't see the patient at 9 o'clock, you don't want to do 9 o'clock. So
What time do you want?
just put 1600. And military time, it's always a military time. Just signature date will be today because we're fixing it today. And then we're going to type in your signature.
My signature?
Your signature, yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
I didn't even know these things were there.
You are going to watch how many times it takes
And
me
then
to
hit
sign.
submit. Why did you make your pregnancy so crazy? Just to pick a very simple password for your regular password, just so everyone knows.
I don't know how to
Because
do
I
it.
don't have it makes me sign.
Like when you sign your,
Yeah.
someone's gonna have to show me the sign.
Oh, you're lucky.
It makes me sign the whole
That's
thing.
what you told me.
Okay, now, perfect. So now you guys see now how we fixed it now? Now, when we go over here back to read Janet, we're not gonna have that frequency error anymore that we were having before. And the order's gonna be all correct.
Now, how come it's already approved if you just submitted it?
Because we wrote
we
the order.
we corrected the order. The
Oh,
order was
yeah.
already approved.
If I had written it,
So
it wouldn't
click
have
on
been
read,
approved.
Janet.
No, that's the problem. You missed. You weren't here.
I was
When-
getting my start here.
When
So now when you
you
look
are
at this,
requesting frequencies, you have to go in and actually create the order. Requesting frequencies does not move it, and it does not put it into scheduling. For every order change, correction, or frequency you submit, you have to generate the order for it to come to us.
yes.
If we don't have an RN in Derek's role, and Derek's just graciously doing this for us, they're not going to be able to write your orders, and if you only.
Yeah, I'm writing a lot of
one
orders for
patient-
everybody, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, oh, on average, I come in, there's about 60 that he has had to go in and write. You have to write your own order because an RN is not going to be scheduling long-term for therapeutic. They cannot write the orders for you, but words, your frequencies are not moving if you're only requesting them. They're not going to anybody to see. We cannot even run a report that you submitted it. It has to be an order. So make sure you're going in and actually generating the order.
Okay, now on this portion right here, so when you get to this page, so if it's blue, it means it's been scheduled. If it's red, it means that your frequency is approved, but it's not scheduled yet, which means that I will schedule it on the back end. So I'll have to go in and adjust this, which not a problem, I will. Okay, but that's how you know you actually did create your frequency, because if it doesn't, it'll show a little yellow triangle here that will say frequency is not scheduled. So that's like your cue that, frequency is not scheduled, okay?
Is there a shortcut when we're in frequencies to generate the order, or do we have to go in and actually do a separate order?
That's where.
On your SOC, so this is a
Basically,
couple things that.
there's two ways, you're talking about accessing the frequency manager. There's two ways to access the frequency manager. So one way to access frequency manager is from your started care or your resumption or your research. The other option is you go to my patients and you click on the patient's name and you go to the episode manager. That's the second way to access the frequency manager. So if you're updating the frequency after you've already seen the patient, that's where you would update it to. So you'd go to, you go to my patients, you click on the patient's name, top right corner, you're gonna be an episode manager. You're gonna click on view frequency and episode, and then you're gonna click on frequency manager.
But my question
So
was,
I'm
this
going
is,
to reiterate right now the two big mistakes that people are making. So right here, it says frequency requested went on your schedule. If you do not go here, click these boxes on the left for the frequency you requested and create the order,
there's my shortcut.
then you have not created an order. And the second one is when you hit create order, most of you, I can't do it here, but remember the drop down box, most of you are not moving to adding your SOC orders to the 485. So you're generating 3 separate orders to the doctor to be signed before we can deal with it. And that is a hot mess. So if you're doing an SOC or you're doing an eval in the first 5 days, like we're supposed to by regulation, your order should be on the 485. So click the box to add it for the 485, not as a frequency order. If any of you are confused about that, come see me.
Or call me.
Or
I
call
can walk you guys through too.
If you have seen a patient after the 5 days and you are seeing them late, then you have to generate a new frequency order.
Now, view loop the threshold real quick. Another quick thing I want to go over to, a lot of people are maybe not really paying attention to, is home health episodes are broken into 2 different episodes. You have your first 30-day episode, you have your second 30-day episode. Now, the way that it works is the insurance companies pay us for 30-day episodes at a time. So, and if you click on the orange,
I'm gonna pick a different one that has it already done.
Okay. The other thing too, see the orange nucleus up there? Click on the orange nucleus real quick.
This is recommended.
So this is great because this tells you our utilization. So if you go down to utilization assessment, it's going to tell you basically, scroll down a little more, utilization assessment.
It's right here.
Yeah, so this tells you guys, like, okay, because insurance says when they look at a patient, they say, okay, maybe the insurance says you guys should see this patient at least 3 times. You should see the patient at least 4 times in the first 30 days. Second 30 days, it's usually 2 to 3. Now, here's the thing. If we don't meet those LUPA thresholds, then the company gets reimbursed at a very much lower rate, which obviously everybody's like, well, it doesn't affect
Here
me.
is,
But ultimately, it does affect everybody because that's how the company stays in business. So paying attention to our LUPA thresholds. So when you look at this one, it's saying that on their first 30 days, they said that we should see a patient minimum of 2 times. On the second 30 days, it's again 2 times. Now, what
and
happens
they're
is
color coded, folks, y'all.
they are
You
color
can
coded.
just check and it's all disciplines.
Now, so what happens, guys, usually in the first 30 days, we overutilize, which means that the company is going to probably not make money on the first 30 days, which that's obviously not your guys' concern. But then on second 30 days is usually where we can make up for that negative equity that we made that in the first half. So
They're only cropping over by like 1 visit into the second one, so we lose.
yes, if we don't make that second loop of threshold, then we're going to lose money. So like when I see like 1 week 4s, I'm just like, why are we doing 1 week 4? Because then we're not going to get that second 30. Now, I'm not saying fraudulent, no, but I'm saying if your patient could benefit from 2 extra visits, they could get a little extra education. from 2 extra visits, then that's good. The other thing is overutilization. If we overutilize into the second 30 days, then that's gonna hurt the company as well. I see a lot of, I don't wanna call it bad, but I see a lot of therapists that we're going twice a week for 9 weeks, 10 weeks. Remember, guys, we should be starting out heavy and decreasing the visits as we go.
They should taper down.
They should
shouldn't
taper
need
down.
you
It shouldn't be
twice a
not
week
2
till
week,
the very
9.
end.
Okay.
If they
You know.
need you twice a week till the very end in your therapy, something's wrong. You're not.
Yes, we gotta think, remember, guys, we're supposed to be educating the families how to be caregivers. We're not there to be the caregivers. We're supposed to educate the families how to be caregivers. Educate the families how to do the exercises. We're supposed to give them the tools to be independent, okay? But please start trying to look at your lupus thresholds, think a little bit ahead on those lupus thresholds. It's gonna help you guys stay busier. It's gonna help the company stay busier. It's gonna help everybody overall. If we start monitoring those lupus
It's
thresholds.
important because hospitalizations are tracked 30 days even after we discharge.
Yes.
So if you still see a risk, again, like you said, don't need to overutilize it, but if you can do some good there for the next, extra 2
It's usually 2 or 3 visits, yeah. But
And that's where I have to come in to balance us, because yes, we do want you, see where it says second 30-day lupus threshold and it's all the blue. If you do 2, you get paid for the full case. That's great. So we don't want you to discharge the patient 1 week into the second episode. That's absolutely ludicrous. You can do 1 more visit to have met the lupus threshold. But we don't want you scheduling just based on that. So
don't schedule based on the lupus.
don't schedule
Just-
based on that. Look at your patient's needs.
Yes.
But if they're saying by the end of this episode, Medicare says it's going to take you 2 visits and you have 2 times a week through the end of this for your patient, something is very askew.
And that's when you look at that orange nucleus, if you click on that and you look at the utilization assessment, it'll tell you based on patient's medical history, based on the patient's physical condition, hospice suitability, it'll tell you that, okay, based on that, other home health companies overall average are seeing this patient 8 times. But if we're seeing them 16 times, that should be kind of like a cue to like, because it gives you a national average, actually, is what it does. It compares our scheduling to the national average of every home
With
health
the
agency.
exact same diagnosis and the
Yes.
exact same goals that you entered. That's why the last one said it couldn't calculate it yet, because it didn't have all your scoring and your documentation in and all your diagnosis. But when you add everything, it fills in that information for you and tells you, Medicare is saying they will pay you enough that you can cover the patient's care and your clinician if you see the patient this many times. So if we go too far over that too many times, then we're under the hole.
And if you don't want
Need
to,
to reiterate though, because I was asked to, it's very important that you understand, at the end of the day, we're not here to make money. If your
No,
patient
I'm-
is going to benefit from that amount of time, then we want you to see the patient that amount of time. But like if I open your chart and I see that we're doing 2 week 9 all the way to the end of the episode and we never weaned this patient to independence,
It's like that 8th episode.
we failed the patient. 2 research and we haven't closed a wound or done anything different, and it's not like a magnificent wound. We're not doing the patient any benefit. We're just making money. And
and we don't want to do that. And the other thing too is remember that Medicare can come back years later and they can actually request money back. from
we
the
have
company.
been audited just in the past 12 months, 6 times. They're called an ADR. So they pull everything from your chart. They look at what your clinicians did, what they said, what they documented, your photos, your wounds. And remember, if you didn't take a picture, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you didn't take a picture, if you didn't document a change in diagnosis or progress or whatever it is, and they don't deem that the care was necessary, they ask us for a nice check back. And let me tell you something about therapeutic. We are really good. We have every time come out without having to get the money back. We did what we needed to do, and that's what we want to do always. But if you're being a wound that's a stage 2 and under, and you're seeing them 3 times a week, if you're not taking pictures of your wound, it's not bad enough that you need to be getting in there and measuring. It's obviously not
Or scabbed
that
wound.
severe, or a scabbed wound. A wound that's scabbed, if you're just wrapping legs and not doing anything, you're not doing anything for this patient that they can't do by themselves. We don't want to waste Medicare dollars either. We're about to all be old and need them. So just make sure you're utilizing right. Let me show you one thing and then I'll let Derek finish with this and then we'll do E2. If you are having trouble with frequency manager, or you're having trouble with any other thing on Kinzer, but frequency manager specifically, always make sure you K-mail us so we can check you with your frequency. You're still responsible for getting those in. But if you go to online help and then you go to need training right here, you can do frequency manager.
It is a
and-
bit confusing though when you.
Yeah, frequency manager overview 58, and there's a 58-minute video and it shows you step by step how to change an order, how to put an order in after the 5 days is already passed, how to add it to the 485 if you're seeing the patient correctly in the first 5 days of their care. It will show you all of that. So all you have to do is watch the video and it will go over step by step how to do that for you.
Or give me a call and I can go one-on-one with you. We can get on FaceTime and we can walk through one entirely together. I've done that for several of you. So if anybody needs that, just call me. We'll figure it out.
The goal is to get to the place where you don't have to K-mail us your frequency because you're actually writing the order and it's going to the scheduling, and then you don't have to send us back. And then if you did it right, we can run a report that says, these are all the SOCs that started. These are all the orders that were placed. Did they get scheduled? Right now, we can't because half your orders are in limbo. Half of them got K-mails, half of them didn't. So if we're using it correctly, we can just run a list every week and be like, hey, we didn't get a schedule, or hey, your schedule's
A
wrong.
great example of kudos to her. She was writing an order the other day and I was logged in and I literally saw her order pop up. And before she even sent a request, I literally had already scheduled out her visits. And she was like, oh, wow.
And a good way too, like a quick double check. If you do it all right, you'll go back to the chart under orders and you'll see your order submitted with signature.
It'll be either a frequency order or 485.
And it will say that we have received it, it's in QA, ready for us to schedule, or if you don't do it correctly, you won't see your order.
Yeah, I go and pick it for you.
Just a quick little, so you're doing yourself.
Yeah, I thought I was doing a good job. I wasn't even checking the boxes.
You were doing a great
I'm on
job.
boxes.
We were all learning the first couple weeks of frequency manager. I was like, Dad, I want to do this.
Well, to be fair, it's been a learning process. This is a different version of frequency management than I'm used to. So it's even been a learning process for me. So it's taken me a while to try to figure out all the things, but. Yeah. But I mean, that's pretty much all I got. For the time being, I would recommend, it is still helpful to send a K-mail. Does everyone know how to create a group in frequency in Kinzer? It's a very,
Did you go up to file message?
yeah, well, you gotta go to inbox real quick.
My inbox.
Yeah, so go to inbox. So you go to file new. Or new recipient group right there. And you can create a recipient group and you can put like Ashley, myself, Jen, Ed, Caesar, and you can just call it schedule. And you can just name it scheduling and as soon as you get done doing a frequency, you just send a quick email like, hey,
To the scheduling.
To the scheduling
So it
group.
covers everybody.
so then it covers everybody and then you know you did it. There's no questions. I don't have to try to track you down. And I was calling somebody last night at like 9 o'clock, like, hey, you said you want a frequency schedule, but there's no frequencies. I can't schedule it. But if you send a K-mail, I can schedule it. I can always go write orders and I've run several orders, but if I at least know what your frequency is, I can take care of the rest. If you forget to do the other stuff, I can fix everything else.
Who should be on our scheduling group?
So the
So we
one
don't
thing,
overload
so the
people.
one thing that you should do, I mean, I wish Abigail was back because right now we have her off, but we don't know if she's returning on Monday or not. She's been out on maternity leave and Derek has stepped in for the past almost 2 months now. And just done all of our scheduling and wrote all of your orders in the middle of the frequency manager starting for you. So
It's been amazing, yeah.
absolutely, I could not have done it. So thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. And I'm sure Abigail is wonderfully happy being able to be home.
And I'm still
but
gonna stick around
everybody go
to help
home.
with the frequency.
Everybody go home and make a scheduling group and include Ashley and Jeanette because they have been popping in and helping Derek. Include me and include Abigail and include Martin.
And
If
include me
you-
too, because I'm still.
Yeah, and Derek, if you include those 5 people and you reply every time, somebody is going to look and make sure your frequency went in and you wrote your order right. After this, I'm gonna start calling you and saying, hey, I see a frequency requested. Let's walk through this. And I've done that with a couple of you. I need you to get to the place where you're writing orders because when Abigail comes back and we give Derek his life back, she is not an RN. She can't write the order for you. She's not a physical therapist. Any questions about that process real quick? Because the next half was just super easy. Not, well, the next 5, I'm sorry, the next 5 minutes is real easy. Everybody go to this page. There's one more page. Do you have any questions about curriculum? I'm so sorry. We're actually required to do this.
I know.
Here. Just go to this page real quick. April 1st, Kinder is moving from E1 to E2. It's not a big deal. I have put on this side what they pulled out and on this side what they put in, and they put it in because it's now required. You have to refer to their sex, not their gender. You have to answer those questions. If you do not answer them, your OASIS will be deficient. These things have been removed. Gender and sex are different. Sex is your anatomical, your sex is your anatomical orientation. Your gender is how you
Identify.
identify.
Matter?
We can have that discussion at a whole different place than this.
Federal funding. Says it matters.
The state, we have to meet these social, economic, blah, 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 so they have to be answered. But for 2026, the wound care worksheet, those of you who do SOCs, they have to be in within 48 hours. And if you have not submitted your wound, your picture, and your signature, every visit after your SOC does not have a wound on it because you did not do your job. So your LVN going in cannot add a wound after you did an SOC or didn't submit an SOC or even do a repeat visit until you do your documentation and put your wound in.
And if the LVN accidentally does put it in, we can no longer add it to your start of care.
We do not get paid for it. It is not there. You just botched it. So if you are doing an SOC and your RN has not done the SOC within 48 hours, you need to call and let us know because that RN has got to submit, and I say RNs only because RNs are the ones who do wounds. If you're a registered nurse and you do an SOC, the documentation is required in 48 hours. It now cannot go past 48 hours because if you have a wound on it or any goals like that for your LVN, they will not be on their next visit. Every visit with a new wound care worksheet requires a picture and a measurement. If you're using the same measurements and the same picture, upload them, but once a week, they need to be different. There needs to be a new measurement, a new photo. So if we go in and I look and I can pull up a wound on a patient and see every picture side by side, if it's the same photo the whole time, no. If it's the same, whatever the whole time, once a week, there has to be a new measurement. Once a week, there has to be a new photo, but on every visit, there has to be a measurement and a photo. Does that make sense?
On every visit.
Every visit,
Once a week.
when you're putting it in, has to
Once a
have
week.
once a week. Yeah. Yes, you have
That's
to
the
have
Picture.
a picture. You use the previous
Oh.
picture. It doesn't want you to go forward and not put your information in there. So you have to pull forward your measurements into your wound care. You have to pull your photo forward, but once a week, there has to be brand new ones added to the chart. That's why we're getting together.
Venous wounds, and they're not, those are so slow to change. Ulcers, sorry. So
That's okay. Your picture should change.
Okay.
Your measurements are gonna
Yeah,
stay the
okay.
same.
And there'll be a date on whatever.
And there'll be a date stamp for when you add it, but that's why they're asking for it, because if you're not moving those forward in the date part, if you're not carrying them to the next visit, it shows that you didn't do it, you didn't measure it. But that's not what it is on those dates. So
Just
pull
taking
them
pictures of it.
pull them forward into those visits, and on the last one, make sure to update. So just copy them in. Yeah. It's asking you to pull it forward to show that you did it every time. That's all. And then when we pull it up, it's there. So that's the wound care worksheet. Progress to goals. Make sure that before you discharge a chart that you go in and complete your goals. If they're still open, fine, but if they're not, you need to go in and complete the goals that you met, because a lot of you are just doing the discharge without going in and discharging your goals, and it's showing that we didn't complete them. So remember to complete them if they're done.
If they're not like a transfer, like I was talking to Derek, I had a transfer to the hospital or a discharge prior to us discharging.
If they're not done, don't go in and complete them. But if you're discharging a patient and they met the goals, go in and make sure that
Do I
you,
put not obtainable or just leave them?
If you're doing like a non-billable,
Uh-huh.
you don't have to mess with them.
yeah, if you're discharging the patient, close the goals that you're in.
That's if you're actually doing like a. If you do non-billable, you want to try to go, if you have many goals, you want to.
Close as many as possible. The bottom line is go in and close what you can. On April 1st, just set a reminder in your phone. If you have an SOC or a chart that is sent to you or a discharge or any documentation that is E1, we're all human and we all make mistakes. It should be an E2. Please do not start documenting on it. Please call the office right away and have them change it so you don't have to redo the charting because
They want
E1
to, like you said, with them.
E1 won't go out. Well, some of them we're seeing you start with E1 and then the patient discharges after it. It needs to be an E2. So make sure everything is E2 on there.
Well, it won't let you, when I'm doing scheduling, if it goes to April 1st, it won't even let me schedule everyone. It's forcing me to schedule everything at P2.
Okay. So we've seen duals. And then remember, if you don't have a digital visit verify, Medicare can come back and ask us back the money back for your visit, which means if you're billing us for being there for a visit, there should be a digital visit verify. We still have,
For a paper signature?
you can get every once in a while a paper signature if you are unable to, if you can show that they don't have internet. Because that is what we have to vet.
The other thing what you can do, guys, what you can do is you can click on the get page signature, have them sign it, and if you can't save it, take a screenshot.
Take a
Yeah.
screenshot
Take a
while you're
screenshot.
there.
And here's the thing, if you create that nifty little scheduling group there, you can just send them, hey, send it right to the schedule, go, hey, this might isn't verified, it wasn't safe.
Okay.
So let me be really clear though, because we have clinicians who've heard all these loopholes, and so they are never, ever submitting a geocache location, and that will not be acceptable on survey. You should have one or two patients that are outside of range, but anywhere a cell phone works, it works. And that's almost everywhere. So if you are a clinician who 50% of your cases are paper cases, that does not work and they will want the money back, which means you can't bill us, we can't bill. So it should be the rare occasion that we are using a paper that hasn't geocached and applied the green check mark that we can transmit to Medicare that we actually saw the patient. So if they come in and audit us and they're looking and we're at 50% or paper, 50% or geo, because about 90% of the world is covered by cell phone service and you can get it there.
We have several ones I go into that my internet has not worked, like, so that's why I'm asking.
So when you're there, just pull up the checkbox, have them sign it and you sign it and screenshot it and attach it. So it's the very best we can do, but there's a date and a timestamp that you're
Yeah.
there and the patient has signed it. So you're physically in their presence.
Yeah.
So those are the things we need in order to prove.
For anyone else that has this, I know for me, if I need to think of it ahead of time so I can open it up. So when I get to their house and it doesn't work, I can at least get that signature, screenshot it so that I have it. But I'm just saying, because I know I have a few houses I go into that there is no.
But it should be a few. We know that you guys go. We know that you saw the patient. Unfortunately, we're in a technological blah, blah, blah,
No, I do it.
where Medicare can come back and say, oh, well, we
Yeah,
would like the money back. You weren't there. Patient says you never showed up.
Yeah.
And then we have nothing. We know you're there and don't be like, oh, I couldn't get it. Well, I'm not going to get paid. That's not how we work. We pay you every time and we give you the benefit of the doubt. Medicare will not be so friendly with us.
Yeah.
We will have to get the money.
And there is a glitch sometimes that will happen with Safari, getting the signature with that happened before. So, if that happens, switch to Chrome. Chrome tends to be a bit easier. And if you have a problem with the zoom in problem, it's kind of, you have to actually zoom in and then use your fingers to zoom out. You can get with me if you're having problems with the signature, because I figured it out. But Safari, there's been some issues where I won't save the visitor.
Okay, we did it. We're 20 minutes under the 11 o'clock. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. If you want to line up at my office, we can do it that way too. Yes,
We also the patient,
No.
like the flu.
No, you can't do that in Medicare.
that ended with COVID. When all the COVID exemptions left,
It was
those
amazing.
left. So the best, if all you can do is an X for the patient, then an X for the patient, because it's still geotagged to the patient.
Yeah, I don't send the.
Social security number. Oh.
Yeah, but
Just,
Okay.
yeah.
Just might be close, but they're not. I think that figure out.
Yeah, even
He was told by one of our nurses, "Don't have this conversation."
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I told her, I was like, what? I was like, no, we always get the same.
Always.
Yeah.
It should always. I mean,
Yeah.
usually there's incidents
Yeah, no,
where
no,
that
I got
happens.
if you show that, yeah.
Then I don't have to wait on anybody.
Patients are so counterintuitive, even pulling it up, right? Doing it.